Hi, I hope you're having a great day. In this video, we're gonna answer another set of questions that you left on some of my videos. I may have already answered these questions, but for the sake of everyone following this channel, I will answer them again. But this time, I will answer them in as clear a way as possible. So, without further ado, let's begin. Welcome back to NikkoVenture. Sir, hindi man po ba dyan sa Japan yung mga IT like system admin? Yes, IT professionals are one of the most sought after people by Japanese tech companies. And it makes sense if you think about it. Japan is a country known for producing some of the world's most technologically advanced products. And to continue producing these technological wonders, Japan, this country, would want all the technologically savvy people they can get their hands on. Software developers and IT project managers are just some of the IT-related job opportunities here in Japan. According to this website, IT professionals are one of the most popular jobs for foreigners here in the land of the rising sun. Of course, just like any other job, you have to do your own research before actually applying for this kind of job here in this country. Kuya Nikko, ask ko lang, kaya po ba ng self-study ang Kaigo Fukushishi? Or need ng school pag mag-review? Onigay po. Honestly, I don't know. When I studied for the exam, I was a foreign student in a caregiving college. That is, I reviewed for the exam within the Japanese caregiving school, and the materials I used at that time were the materials given to me by that school. But don't get me wrong. I am not saying self-studying for the exam is difficult. No, I haven't tried it. It may be difficult, but if you have the right resources and you know where to start, you may be able to self-study for the exam and actually pass this exam. If school is not an option for you, I do suggest to scour the internet and find the best study materials and resources that will help you in taking on the exam. I made a video about the books I used to study, prepare, and review for the exam a while ago. If you are interested, click this card here or check the link in the description box down below. Now, if you already have the study materials and resources that you need for the exam, the next challenge for you as a self-studier is to actually find the time and disciplining yourself to actually use those study materials and resources. You see, school is recommended because the school will literally spoon-feed you all the important information about the exam. But it still boils down on how you discipline yourself and how you absorb those spoon-fed information. There are people that I know that went to school with me, the same school with me, but failed the exam not once, but twice. My point is that school is definitely recommended, but going to school will not guarantee your success in the exam. Even if you self-study or you have a private teacher provided by your company, passing or failing the exam will still depend on you. So, scour the internet, find the best study materials you can find out there. And when you find those study materials and resources, make sure that you make good use of those. How much Japanese money you paid for the registration? For the sake of everyone watching this video, she's talking about the fee for the registration of certification, or in Japanese, the Torokutetsuzuki. The Torokutetsuzuki is a process, a very important process that you should do after passing the Kaigo Fukushishi Kokkashiken. The Torokutetsuzuki will allow you to legally register yourself as a Kaigo Fukushishi of Japan. It is very important to take note that you will only be legally recognized as a Kaigo Fukushishi of Japan if you completed the Torokutetsuzuki. And the Torokutetsuzuki is not free. According to the official website of the Social Welfare Promotion and National Examination Center of Japan, the Torokutetsurio for the Kaigo Fukushishi Torokutetsuzuki is 3,320 Japanese yen.
But wait! There's more!
There's also a thing called Torokutetsuzuki, or the registration license tax. Yes, everything here in Japan, absolutely everything, will be taxed. And that includes your Torokutetsuzuki. And the amount you have to pay for the Torokutetsuzuki is 9,000 Japanese yen. So if you pass the Kaigo Fukushishi Kokkashiken, the total amount you have to pay for the Torokutetsuzuki is 12,320 Japanese yen. Nagwo-work ka pa din po ba dito sa Japan? Yes, I'm still working here in Japan as a Kaigo Fukushishi. This is my apartment. And that is my workplace. Hello, sir. Hi. Ikaw ba nagbayad ng exam mo sa Kaigo Fukushishi po? No. As mentioned earlier, I came here in Japan as a foreign student. I was a scholar of Japan. The city where I lived at that time paid for my tuition fee. And my tuition fee includes the payment for the Kaigo Fukushishi Kokkashiken. But the payment for the Kaigo Fukushishi Kokkashiken next year is 18,380 Japanese yen. So if you failed the exam this year and you want to reapply for the exam next year, you have to pay this amount. You have to pay this amount every time you apply for the exam. Is there any difference between nurse and caregiver in Japan? In my country, nurses are actually the doctor's assistant.
What the fuck?
What the fuck? Assistant? I don't know who you are, where you came from, or how your country works, but nurses are not doctors' assistants. No, just no. Nurses and doctors are part of the same healthcare team. Nurses work with doctors. They don't work for doctors. There are a lot of things that doctors cannot do without nurses. The same principle applies for caregivers. Even here in Japan, caregivers are part of the same healthcare team as nurses and doctors. Caregivers work with nurses, work with doctors to provide quality and holistic care. Caregivers do not work for nurses. Caregivers do not work for doctors. To answer your question, caregivers here in Japan in general provide companionship and assistance in the day-to-day life of a person without offering medical care. Nurses, on the other hand, especially here in Japan, can do everything what a caregiver can do, but nurses can provide medical care. Caregivers cannot provide medical care. What happens if I did not register with the Torokutetsuzuki after passing the Kaigo National Exam? Does it have an expiration? What will happen is that you will not be legally recognized as a Kaigo Fukushishi of Japan. And since you are not registered as a Kaigo Fukushishi of Japan, you will not be able to call yourself a Kaigo Fukushishi, and you will not receive all the benefits of a Kaigo Fukushishi. And that means you will be fined or imprisoned or both if you still call yourself a Kaigo Fukushishi without completing the Torokutetsuzuki. And since a completed Torokutetsuzuki is a requirement for applying for a Kaigo visa, if you are not registered as a Kaigo Fukushishi of Japan, you will not be able to apply for a Kaigo visa. And since you cannot receive the Kaigo visa because you did not complete the Torokutetsuzuki, you will not be able to bring your family here in Japan to live with you for as long as you like. In other words, passing the Kaigo Fukushishi Kokkashiken is not enough. You still have to register for a certification. You still have to complete the Torokutetsuzuki. A completed Torokutetsuzuki will be your proof that you are a legally registered Kaigo Fukushishi of Japan. And that proof is a requirement, the basic requirement when applying for a Kaigo visa in the Immigration Bureau here in Japan. The good news is that when you pass the Kaigo Fukushishi Kokkashiken, you will have all the time in the world to finish your Torokutetsuzuki. There is no deadline for the Torokutetsuzuki. In other words, if you pass the exam this year, you can apply for the Torokutetsuzuki next year or the year after that, so on and so forth. If for some reason or another you decide not to do the Torokutetsuzuki, you will still be recognized as a person who passed the Kaigo Fukushishi Kokashiken, but you will never, ever be recognized as a Kaigo Fukushishi. So those are some of the questions answered, hopefully correctly. If you find some errors on this video, please feel free to correct me in the comments down below. If you've learned something new in this video, please don't forget to leave a like, comment, and share this video with an interested friend. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. It may be a simple click to you, but for me, it means a lot. Thank you so much for your time watching this video. See you on the next one. Babush.